Welcome to the DevReady podcast. Today I have Jamie Kritharas with me from Defiant Digital. Jamie, I'll let you introduce yourself and explain everything.
Yeah, thanks, Anthony. I'm Jamie Kritharas. I am the founder and CEO of Defiant Digital, and basically we're a creative performance agency here in Sydney. We help 7 and 8 figure brands scale through creative, paid media, and landing page optimization.
So I'm not sure if people might understand what the performance part means because
Yeah,
it's normally just tied to do with marketing or content. It's not
yeah.
performance. So do you want to dive into that a little bit?
Don't worry, it's not me getting on stage and doing a little dance, but no, it is performance marketing. Basically, anything paid media, getting the most performance out of that. It covers a pretty broad spectrum, but essentially it's just how do I get more from my dollar? Every dollar that I spend on the platform, how do I get it to convert better for me? And yeah, it's multifaceted, but I'm sure we'll dive into it a little bit today.
Yep, cool. So how did you get started with Defiant Digital?
Yeah, so I was actually a DJ and producer for about 10 years before I started Defiant Digital. Basically, yeah, I was running ads since they first kind of got released on the platform and always had a bit of a knack for marketing, I guess, without even really knowing it. So towards kind of the end of my career, I started getting people approach me to do ads for them. I started hiring a couple of agencies as well for like the artists that I was managing, and I just couldn't really find an agency that would do both the performance side, so running the ads and doing the optimization and doing the strategy, as well as also doing the creative that's required for the platforms. What I found about 5.5 years ago was that there's two very separate types of agencies. So yeah, I saw that gap in the market and just tried to plug it, and here we are today.
Well, that's a good spot to find a hole in the market and put yourself in there, which is always what every business is sort of looking for. So you had some real hands-on experience trying to grow your own brand, I guess DJ promoting yourself, trying to get gigs, and then managing a series of artists, and then trying to then promote them as well. So it seems like
Yeah.
a sort of a natural evolution to then moving to an agency, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. I think the big thing for me was when, I actually tried to go out into the market to hire some agencies and I just realized, well, like there is an opportunity here. I hadn't really done proper ads and marketing myself before that, but just decided to dive head first. Obviously the first few months was just learning the ropes, playing with other people's money, doing work for free, I was doing work for free in exchange for like a testimonial, and that was kind of how I grew myself, right?
Yep.
And also, I guess, yeah, at the time, just learning you could do a million courses, watch YouTube videos day in day out, but until you're actually on the tools, spending money, and the stakes are a bit higher, that's the absolute best way to learn. And yeah, I'd highly recommend that to anyone in the startup land. Feel free to put yourself out there and just do work for free, but if you get a good result, ask for a case study or testimonial in return, and just use that to kind of flywheel your growth.
Yeah, and get that value for at least you're getting some value for your business then as well, not just the experience. Those
Exactly.
testimonials do go a long way.
Yeah.
So
100%.
when you started out, so you said 5.5 years ago, so that was probably before COVID, is I'm
Yeah.
guessing that
Just
timeline. So then that was probably before the huge TikTok boom, or was just
yeah.
about starting.
Yeah, probably just about starting. Yeah, it was in 2019. I started on New Year's Day, 2019.
Oh well,
Yeah,
cool. It's a good way to remember it.
100%. I
So
never seen it.
how have you seen sort of in those 5 years, and then like that boom of TikTok that happened during COVID a year after you started, effectively? How have you seen sort of people's perception change on doing marketing and then on what platform they should be going to? Because the way I saw it, there was sort of like it's a shift from Instagram everything, then TikTok everything.
Uh, Look, there's definitely been a big movement towards TikTok, don't get me wrong, but from a paid ads perspective, Meta is still the beast. Meta
Yeah.
is still
Okay.
where the most money is being spent by far. For most brands, I would say. Obviously, there's some brands that are very Google intent based and they don't spend much on Meta, but the lion's share of our spend, I'll speak for ourselves anyway, in our agency is still going towards Meta. What I will say is obviously TikTok is a great platform for certain parts of the funnel. So for people discovering you for the first time or for people, just more educational, so to speak, it's a great platform to get people into your funnel, get people aware of you, And yeah, basically all the channels, being omnipresent across all channels when you're trying to scale a brand is so important, because you will find that you will eventually tap out on certain channels. So you don't want to be too reliant on one or the other.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's definitely been a movement towards TikTok, and look, we'll see how it goes. They're obviously facing a bit of turmoil at the moment, but we'll see how that pans out over the next couple of years.
Yeah, if that law goes through in America where they actually ban that or force them to do the sale, if they abandon the market, I'm not sure. But if they do that, there's just going to be a big shift back to the way I see it, back to Instagram and YouTube Shorts probably for the same sort of content.
Definitely.
So you mentioned there the lion's share goes to Meta, so formerly Facebook. Is that because, so compared to say Google Ads, people don't know what keywords people are using, so then they're just targeting that persona rather than trying to find the words that they're looking for?
I think the thing is, right, when you think about Google, you're bidding on keywords, okay? And those keywords have a limited amount of searches every month. So,
Yep.
for instance, you're in dev, so, web developer Sydney, for example, that has however many searches, let's say 5,000 searches per month that you can get in front of.
Mm-hmm.
That's that's kind of where Google's limits are in a way, because you're limited to the intent that is actually on the platform and the searches that people are making.
Yep.
Meta, TikTok, the social platforms, you're just showing up in people's feeds. So your audience is huge, right? You can be targeting basically anyone and convincing them over time to come into your funnel and convert or get on a call with you, or buy your services. So obviously the tricky thing with that when it comes to advertising is you're getting in people's faces when they're not actively searching for a solution right now. They're not
Yep.
on Facebook typing for developers, right? However, they may have a project that they're doing. They may be struggling with something. They may know that they need a developer in 2-3 weeks, and that's really where these social platforms come in to create that awareness. And then when they go onto Google and they type in web developer Sydney, because they've seen you 3 or 4 times, when they see your ad amongst all the other devs, you're the one that comes to mind, you're the one they click on. So
Yep.
using both in tandem is a really great strategy.
It's a great point there. I never really thought of it that way. Whereas I remember reading once, like when you're marketing, there's 2% of people actually know what they want to buy at any point in time. So that's
Correct.
effectively the Google searches is that 2% of your market. They know what
Correct.
they're looking for. They're putting in keywords. Like you said, there's an intent there to do something. Where on Facebook, it's that brand and building that recognition over time. But then that does make sense to have the two together because then the recognition is shared across the platforms.
Exactly. If you think about it as a funnel, Google is like the bottom and middle of the funnel,
Yep.
and Meta is like the top and middle in a way, right?
Yep. So
It's,
just, yeah,
it's
try and capture the biggest market and audience from there.
correct.
So if you were starting out and then looking at, all right, we've got a say $1,000 budget for the next couple of months to advertise, and you're looking, all right, how would you split that across Facebook and Meta? Meta and Google to then say, all right, how are we going to get these ads going, and what's the plan?
$1,000 a month
It's
or a
probably
day.
not much.
Yeah, $1,000 a month is going to be tricky. Like
Yep.
you're not going to have much room to test things and understand what's working and iterate, come back to the platform, and
Hmm.
go again, right? So look, with that being said, everyone's got to start somewhere. So if I did have $1,000, to be honest, I'd probably put it on Google, depending on my business. But I'd probably put it on Google because that's the bottom of the funnel. That's the people that are looking for a solution right now. And although the cost per click is higher,
Hmm.
my strategy with $1,000 would be try my best to get in front of the keywords that I know are very relatable to my business, and
Yep.
try and convert that sale, and then use the profit from that sale to then spend more on ads, start spending 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, and then as my budget kind of expanded, then I would go to Meta and start trying to do the same expansion on that platform as well.
Yep. Because yeah, I know it is people when they first start out, especially startups, they have very limited budgets. So marketing is something they know they need to do, but they don't know how much to spend, what they should be doing. So just having that as a basic strategy in mind is probably going to be very useful for some people.
Not gonna lie, if I had $1,000 and that's all I had, and I was thinking about starting marketing, I'd probably invest it into learning. I'd probably invest it into just,
Some
some
courses or
kind of
something.
course or some kind of like find someone that you really resonate with who has a great track record and learn how to do it. Spend that money on that, and then save your coin, and then really give it a crack to do it yourself. Don't hire an agency out the gates.
Yep.
Again, I am an agency, so I my business is an agency, but I always tell people like you should know what's happening with your money. You should at the very least have a rough understanding of what's happening on the platforms before you go on and engage an agency. Because unfortunately, just heard some absolute horror stories in my time.
So it happens in your industry as well.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think any type of service based agency type of industry, it's yeah, you hear the horror stories.
Yeah, so we get the non-tech people. They've got an idea, want to build something. Then they don't know much about tech or how much effort's actually required to build an app. They go and find a developer. Most of the time, it ends up being overseas,
Yeah.
and then they get burnt. They spend 100, 200 grand on a product, and then they don't have what they wanted. I'm sure you probably have the exact same thing. They'll go market, and they're probably just marking the wrong keywords or not even doing it properly.
No, exactly. Look, just there's a lot of churn and burn type agencies out there that'll just bring clients on and not really service them, not give them the right kind of advice. And again, that's why it's just so important to understand the fundamentals and learn a little bit, even try to run your own ads a little bit at the start before you spend thousands of dollars on an agency.
Yeah, just so you can actually understand the platforms. What does it mean to then, all right, bid on clicks, or are you doing views or clicks, and
Yeah.
how do you tweak the ad to then get better performance and understand those things?
Yeah. Aside from that, it's just a really powerful skill to know, like to be able to understand how to take a message or an offer and then blast it out onto a platform and put it in front of your ideal prospects. Like it's crazy, like sales is one to one. When you're like a salesperson trying to speak to someone, it's one to one. But with ads, it's like one to many. You're speaking to thousands of people a day.
Yep.
So when done right, really, really powerful tool.
Yep. So it all really comes down to understanding what you value provide, and then what that message is that's going to resonate, or a set of messages that you're testing to find which resonates really. Yeah.
Exactly. The way we like to think about it is like problem solution. So open up your ad with the problem that your audience is facing. Like for example, struggling to find a developer for your next project, or been burned by a web dev agency, like with a question mark. And
Yep.
basically, when you ask a question like that, subconsciously you're getting people to say yes to it as they're scrolling a million miles an hour. When you hit them with a question or something that they're facing right now and you resonate with them, that's what gets them to stop the scroll. So now you got their attention,
Yep.
then the solution has to also be present there, right? Or solution, offer, whatever it is. And that's how you actually get someone to click, go off the platform, start engaging with your brand.
Okay. So yeah, it's all about them knowing they have a problem and then understanding. All right, you know how to solve that problem really. In another simple
Or
way of
yeah,
explaining it.
your audience has a problem, right?
Yeah.
So you know that, for example, in your space, you know that people are struggling with developers they're unhappy with, or whatever the case may be, right?
Yep.
Projects that are taking too long, right? You know they have that problem. So as an advertiser, it's your job just to show up, resonate with them with that problem, show them that you understand that, and
Mm-hmm.
show them that your brand is the solution to that. If you do
Yep.
those two things there, you're going to earn the click. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But what happens after that is, but that's like 50% of the puzzle. Once they've clicked and they hit the website, that's where, that's where the post click experience comes in. And that's just as important as creating really good ads is what happens after the click.
Yes, having that really good topper page above the fold and the real good call to action and understanding how to explain the problem, the benefits, and whatever it may be.
Exactly. Fast loading website, lots of proof, testimonials, trust, and just, yeah, just great navigation. Just make it smooth for people. So,
Yep.
we often say like think of your website, your online store as a physical store. Like if you were to walk into a shop and there was broken glass and there was all sorts of things in the way of you and the cash register, you'd probably just leave, right?
Yep.
If it was like you'd probably just leave and not come back. to that store. Whereas if it was a really tidy, neat store, welcoming, inviting, someone smiling at the cash register, and it's just easy for you to shop there, you're going to want to go back into that store, like the Apple store, like, or
Yeah.
the high-end fashion stores. They make that experience so amazing. Even people that can't afford it go in, they're just in awe. So, yeah, think of your digital experience the exact same way.
Yeah, so it's not just putting ads out there and then that turns into business. There's the whole experience after the fact, which again, another whole series of different sort of work that has to be taken into account to make that happen. But I'm pretty sure then your ads have to relate to all of that. The branding, the feel, the look, and the messaging all needs to be consistent.
Definitely. Yeah, you don't want to be saying one thing in your ads and then they land on the website. It's just a completely different thing. So, yeah, it's one way to get better. That's again a performance marketing tactic is just to make sure that whole funnel is aligned from start to finish.
So, in your experience with how long you've been running now, what are you noticing with sort of the better sort of performing content for your clients? Is there one type of content that performs better? So you've got audio, there's video, there's podcast stuff, there's snippets, there's blog posts. Are you seeing something that performs better, or is it per industry different?
It is a little bit different per industry, but one thing I can say is over the last couple of years, there's been a massive movement to making ads that don't feel like ads. So making ads that are a lot more native,
Hmm.
right? What I mean by that is like literally someone doing a review on their phone, not professionally shot, nothing like that. Someone doing a review and unboxing, a TikTok style of ad,
Yep.
basically. But what we've found to be the absolute best mix is having stuff like that that's really relatable, that just draws people in, and you're not doing like a hard sell, shoving like an offer down their throat, as well as doing what we spoke about before, which is like offer and very much like, hey, this is what we're doing, this is the offer. You have a problem, we're here to solve it. And doing more like motion graphics, graphic design, that kind of thing. Having a mixture in your funnel is really the best way to get great results because different people resonate with different things.
And with what you cover, is it more just the advertising? Or do you help with just like general content that people have to post to just be present?
So yeah, our services are performance marketing, like mainly the ad side of things, not the organic posting
Yep.
and organic social media. Yeah, we focus on we've spent X amount of dollars, how much did we get back in return,
Yep.
and all the kind of services that relate to that. Organic socials, what I do want to say is it's still very important because obviously some people aren't ready to get on a call with you. They're not ready to buy your product, but they want to follow you. They want to check you out. They like what you're doing, but they just need a bit more time, or they're not in market right now for what you're doing.
Yep.
So yeah, organic social is still very important, but not something that we handle at
Yep.
Defiant.
The thing I've noticed sort of just on that organic social side is the more you put out there, you can then filter out the sort of the customers you don't want. Because some people will just not like you by looking at your what the content you talk and how you talk and things like that. So you avoid a lot of those like the tire kicker conversations
Yeah,
because they're just not approaching you anymore.
definitely. Look, organic socials. One other thing that I really like about organic social as well is one thing that we often do when we come across a brand. One of the first places we look at is what's working on organic social. Okay, the reason for that is whatever's worked on organic social, and let's say you've posted 100 different things on organic social, and three or four of them have gone like viral, or they've had a lot of interest, a lot of intent, a lot of engagement.
Hmm.
Basically, you know that that's worked without being forced onto people with ads. Okay, so taking that and sort of modeling that for your ads, almost every time when we do that, the results are really, really good with that type of content because it's been proven that people like that without it, without spend, like
Yeah.
pushing it in front of people's faces. So yeah, organic social is also a really good place to just try new things and see what organically works, and then use that to drive your paid media strategy.
Yep, and then plan and design your ads, and then the strategy from those. That's a good way to start. So yeah, before you even spend $1,000, it's start putting content out there and understanding what sort of content works, how to get it out there, positioning, and then you just move forward from that.
In fact, there's probably an argument to say that $1,000 should be spent on making as much organic content as you possibly can to find what works,
Yep.
So then when you do come back to the platform to spend money,
Yep.
you've got some data, you know what people are liking organically, and then you're already, a few steps ahead.
Yeah, because you can make that content for free effectively,
Exactly.
and then post it, and it doesn't cost you anything. Where otherwise, all right, I spent $70 and three people saw it, or no one clicked. Yeah, testing
Yeah.
with organic first, to then help you drive your strategy for the paid ads. So that's probably the best way to get going for anyone. And then you're probably, what I'm assuming the suggestion is going to be, test a couple things yourself, see how it goes. Once you understand it and you can get that base to then approach an agency like yourselves, then go to that and then ready for that next level.
Yeah, the only
So,
time I'd really approach an agency is when I've kind of got it working myself, and then I've got something working myself. I've found some kind of angle. I've found some kind of message that's getting some results, right? And then I'm at a point where bringing an agency on allows me to do other things that only I can do in my business to drive it forward, right? That in an ideal world
yep,
is how you work with an agency. Now, look, totally understand some brands they just don't have the capacity to learn themselves off the from the ground up. But I guess you got to. It's either like you throw money at the problem or you throw time at the problem. So if you only have
yep,
$1,000, you're not even going to really be able to afford an agency and do what you need to do. So yeah, in that
hmm
scenario, time is what you have. Learn how to do it yourself. Get a few wins, get a few runs on the board, and honestly, in my opinion, it's a better way to do it anyway, because that way you'll be able to keep an agency honest when you do hand over the reins.
yep, yeah, because then you can understand what they're doing. They're not trying to sort of like rip you off or take things too far without
So
you realizing what's happening.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly right.
And is it probably when you're creating sort of the content for the ads, like we said, a mixture of different sort of content is probably what's going to work best until you really identify the things that resonate the most and hit people on the mark.
Yeah, like honestly, for all brands, it's completely different, and you really need to have that test and learn mindset. It's like throw five or six things out there, depending on your budget. Throw a number of things out there into the market, get the data, and then use that data to make your decision on what to create next. So if you throw five different
Yep.
styles out, it's the testimonial from a customer and the offer for 15% off your first purchase or whatever it is. Those two things are the things that are working well for you. Great. Make more of those next. Like use that data to drive all of your creative decisions. And I think this is the main thing that brands come to us for is bridging the gap between performance and creative. Because when you think about it, right,
Yep.
creative is the thing that people are seeing as they're scrolling through the feed. You can have the best targeting, the best website, the best email, the best product in the world. But if you can't get attention in the scroll, if you can't stop that scroll, it doesn't matter what you're like, nothing else matters. Everything starts from that. So yeah, getting that right is super important. And yeah, something that all businesses really should be looking at as one of the most important parts of their funnel.
Yep. And that's really going to be like really understanding what you're providing or what value your products give or your services so you can really talk to that properly and understand those pain points.
Yeah.
So, one more just on sort of the ads and creative is, do you see a big difference between what a service business needs to do and then someone with a product?
Uh, same thing applies in regards to stopping the scroll and getting attention in that first instance. That's the exact same thing for every single brand. But I guess with an e-commerce product, you're driving traffic to a page and people are purchasing there, putting their credit card in, they're buying it right
Yep.
now. With a service-based business, obviously your job is to generate a lead, get a booked call, basically get in front of someone to have a conversation. So there's not a lot of differences in regards to this strategy. It's mainly, or not on the front end anyway, when it comes to running ads. It's more on the back end. It's more on the post click. And yeah, when it comes to service
Yep.
based businesses, the whole journey is so important. Like having a proper CRM where all of your leads come into. As soon as they come into the CRM, they've made an inquiry, send them an automated response. One thing that we like to do, we like to have like what's called a welcome series. So someone comes into your funnel,
hmm
they inquire with you, send them like a thank you. We've got your inquiry, looking forward to speaking with you. but then schedule every day over the next, for example, 7 days, or every second day over the next 7 days. Schedule something in, like a case study, some FAQs, some results that you've just gotten, a testimonial from a prominent client, some examples of your work, for instance. And what this does is it keeps people warm from the time that they've inquired with you to the time that you guys are actually on a call, talking about your services, and also after, right? So let's say you connect with someone on day 3, you have a really great chat with them. They're like, okay, let me think about it. The next day they open up their inbox. There's proof that you are doing exactly what you were saying that you do in your sales call, for example. So yeah, that's probably the key difference. Now, e-commerce also has that kind of thing with what's called like flows.
Yep.
So yeah, there's really, when I think about it, not a massive amount of difference.
Yeah. It's just you probably can't make unboxing videos for a service business. That's the only thing that can come to the top of mind for me.
Honestly, yeah, exactly. But you should
Yeah.
still you should still try find ways to do that native style content, right? Like
Yeah.
there's so many ways you can do it. We've got multiple service-based businesses where we have user-generated content, people recording their experience walking into a clinic, for instance, or you know like screen recording an experience of a website, for example. Or there's so many different ways you can do it. So yeah, it just comes down to being creative and thinking about what is it that I can
Yep.
do to stop that scroll and get my audience to pay attention.
Yeah. So just try things, see what other people are doing, try and make a version for yourself, and just see what sticks really.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, just before we wrap up, any sort of last tips or advice you want to give anyone out there that's thinking about starting this journey, or just about to think about, all right, we've done something ourselves and we're looking to get to an agency. Maybe what are some things they need to look out for so they don't get burnt by those cowboy groups that seem to be everywhere?
That's a good question. What I would say is, again, we've been talking about how important creative is pretty much this whole podcast. So that would be one of the very first things that I'd be looking at is, when I'm assessing an agency, do they have the capabilities? Do they have good track record with creative? Just ask them to send you examples of the creative that they've made, and really sit with it and say, am I happy to have my brand presented in this way? That would be one of the very first things, because yeah, if you don't do that properly, what's going to happen is that creative is going to become your problem. And what's going to happen is that when results aren't good, your agency is going to come to you and say, hey, sorry, the creative you've given me is bad. That's why we're not getting results. Whereas if it's an agency that handles the
Yeah.
creative and the performance, it's on them, right? It's on them to figure it out. It's on them to come with the solutions. And anything that you provide and any input that you give is additional to that. You're supporting that agency. But really, it's down to them to run the processes. So yeah, first things first, make sure you're actually happy with their creative. Make sure that they've got a track record for getting results with creative. And I would also be looking for an agency that goes past the click. So look for agencies that do understand conversion rate optimization, agencies that understand how to design high converting landing pages, how to also run email and SMS. Those are the key levers to really driving performance in any business, service-based, e-commerce, no matter what it is. Those three areas: ads, landing pages, and emails. Those are the key touch points in your funnel that basically determine whether you're going to get a good result, whether you're going to get a lead or a sale in an efficient way or not.
It's important to understand, yeah, the whole journey, not just stick out ads with something in it and hopefully that turns it in. It's really, like you said, pre-click, post-click, and then the keeping them warm with those funnels or automations or those journeys after the fact as well.
And also with email, like, especially when it comes to e-commerce businesses, email is also used to increase lifetime value. So, especially for instance, if you've got a product that is replenishable, email is a great tool to use to
Hmm.
just keep reminding people to come back without actually having to spend money on
Yep.
ads to retarget them. So, yeah, email in a sense is also like a free retargeting tool in a way. It's not free, but obviously, it
Yeah.
yeah, we treat it as like a retargeting
It's
tool.
another tool to use. Yeah, it's just another
Exactly.
tool you can keep going. You've already had the experience with them. They know. Yep, that makes sense. Well, Jamie, if anyone wants to reach out and get in touch with you, how can they do that?
Yeah, so just on LinkedIn, I would say, yeah, just type in my name, Jamie Kritharas. But otherwise, yeah, if you're interested in getting an agency on board for your business and really trying to grow it, just defiantdigital.com.au. Get in touch via the website, and yeah, someone from our team will kind of walk you through how we operate. But yeah, man, aside from that, just on all the socials, we're everywhere. So you can find us there.
Yep. Thank you. We'll put those links out in the notes as well when we release the episode. But yeah, thanks for the great chat today, Jamie. And I'm sure there's been plenty of value there for people starting out to hopefully take on board and just start that journey.
Appreciate it, Anthony. Thanks for having me, mate.
Thank you.